Well, the hospital in Croydon, where many of the injured were treated last week, is one of 4 in South London under threat from closure, according to leaked documents. The NHS report says 1 of 5 acute hospitals in South London will have to close to allow the health service to afford 7-day services. Toby Sadler is at the Croydon University Hospital for us this evening. Toby, how real do you think this threat is?
It's significant. I think it is pretty real. Ultimately, the NHS in London has to save hundreds of millions of pounds. It wants to move services out of hospitals like this and into the community. And of course, it makes sense to close the hospital to pay for it. At least that's the argument. Now, the hospitals we're looking at are here in Croydon, Kingston, Epsom, St Helier and St George's in Tooting. Of course, it's one thing to make an academic argument to close a hospital, quite another to persuade a community it should be theirs, particularly here in Croydon, where staff behind me worked so well to deal with the victims of that tram crash. Here's the local MP, Steve Reed.
We saw this week with the fatalities that happened with the tram derailment just how important that hospital is. 38 people ended up hospitalised the other evening. Now we're hearing from the King's Fund that the government is potentially looking at the closure or downgrading of Croydon University Hospital, which was something we heard before the last election. It closed down for a period and now it's back, and we need the government to reassure the community in Croydon they're not going to lose their hospital.
Well, these revelations came today from the King's Fund, this charity think tank, which revealed NHS managers have been planning in secret where the axe should fall. They were very critical of that, but said that these sustainability and transformation plans needed to go ahead, but they conceded that NHS managers had some tough decisions to deal with.
And there's options that have been developed, and these are just options for consolidating some services across less hospital sites. But those plans rely on the assumption that we can reduce demand for hospital care by strengthening those out-of-hospital services. There's a question about whether we can do that within the levels of funding and the timescales available.
Well, from now on, the negotiations will be made public. The public will have their say on which services they want to try and protect. But ultimately, money has to be saved if we want to have this 7-day NHS where people can go to GPs any day of the week. So some tough decisions to be made and cuts will come.
Toby Sadler, many thanks.